What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. This is Coach Ross with Coach Ross Football. Welcome to the channel. If you've never been here before, we talk about spread offense. We talk about offensive football, the air raid, run and shoot, passing schemes, running schemes. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, if you like this video after you finish watching it, give it a like. Also, share out the video too. Helps the video get seen, helps the channel grow. So without further ado, let's get into the video. We're going to talk about a different way in which to run the counter. All right, whether it be GT counter, whether it be GH counter. All right, just a different way to run counter. You've been to this channel a bunch and you've seen a lot of my videos, you know, and seen how many videos I talk about where I'm talking about motion, whether it be a jet motion, an orbit motion, a just simple shifts and trades out of different formations. A big, huge proponent of using motion because it messes with the defense. It gives them struggles. It distracts them. Bunch of different things you can do with motion that is highly to your benefit. So if you haven't started using motion in your offense, again, I highly, highly recommend it because it can make your playbook, keep your playbook small, but make one play look like 30 different plays at the same time. That's what this video is going to be about. This video is going to be about showing counter in a different way using orbit motion. And I saw a couple clips from college teams running this version of counter, even power, with the orbit motion man out of an empty formation, and using it and gaining some big chunks of yards because, again, if you use motion a lot, you can just easily implement this and then have one of your athletes in that motion run the counter scheme, run the power scheme out of the backfield. Nothing changes as far as blocking scheme. The only thing that changes now is the angle of which you attack the counter or the power and the person is going to. So, again, it messes with the defense, especially if they haven't seen it before, especially if you have a lot of orbit motion in your offense already, and now you add one more thing. It's just one more thing that the defense has to worry about. That's why I love it so much. So I'm going to show you a few things and how you can implement this into your offense. It's a great little strategy. And maybe I'm late to the party. I don't know. I saw this year. I thought it was great. I fell in love with it. And in fact, I actually implemented it into my offense a little bit this year and tried it out. And actually, I liked it a lot. So we're going to be using it more here going into the future. But it's a great little addition to your offense, to your power running scheme, to your counter scheme that you can add where counter just hits from a different angle and from a different person. If you don't know what orbit motion is, it's a pre-snap movement where the receiver or running back starts on one side of the formation and then runs a circular path behind the quarterback. It's not right in front of the quarterback. It's actually behind the quarterback to the other side. Usually it's a full sprint. This motion is meant to force the defense to adjust, potentially shifting their complete alignment. All right. It's to freeze or even pull linebackers out of position, which is exactly what you want to do. You want to try and see if the safeties, do they shift, do they bump, towards the motion, away from the motion. Gives the quarterback an easy read as far as the defense, especially if you're running a pass play. So that's what orbit motion is. It's a different type of motion where it goes behind the quarterback as opposed to right in front of the quarterback. And it just one more thing that you can add into your offense that doesn't change much, but it does change the way the defense reacts. I like to run this kind of formation. And in fact, I ran this kind of formation basically out of an empty set here. What you're planning on expecting is, for a lot of times when you run kind of an orbit motion, or even if you run a jet motion for that matter, is you see the safeties roll, where one safety might be covering the slot and then he rolls up and the other safety drops down to engage in the motion. So that's kind of what you're banging on or betting on, I should say, because what it does is it creates the space for the counter that you're trying to establish with the run. It creates numbers in that side of the field in a way, especially if they rotate with that motion, because they're expecting that orbit motion to come all the way across, and it doesn't necessarily. It comes back with a run back towards the way that they just bumped out of and actually essentially cleared the space for you. So just to give you an example here, I like this motion. If we motion H out, and for what I tell, what the way I set it up, because it's a timing thing. It's a timing thing that they have to get used to and prepared for. So I tell the motion speed is rather quick. It's not a full-on sprint, but it's quick. It's a quick motion to make it look like he's trying to go across the field. But out of the corner of his eye, he's looking at the line, because what I try and tell him is once you get to the opposite side or backside tackle, once you get to him, that's when that ball is when you should be cutting it back. And the quarterback is too playing that as far as the snap. He's timing it up as well, just like you have to time up a jet to make sure that everything works right. He's timing it up as well. And he sees once that motion man, he can sense that motion man getting to the tackle. That's when he's snapping the ball. And once that ball is snapped, because his eyes are here, he can see movement from the other offensive players. That's his indication or his indicator that the ball has been snapped. Now what he can do is then essentially he just cuts it back in here and he's up the field. Now blocking again, that stays the same. All right, so here our tackle is going to help here, work to that back linebacker there. Center is going to down block here. We have the guard who's going to kick out the defensive end. And then we have our backside tackle who is now wrapping up through and picking up that backside linebacker. And that essentially is what we would run and how we would run it right there. That's exactly how we ran it. So you could theoretically also have your little bubbles set up over here if you want, and your blockers here. But this is an easy way to do it out of this. There's a couple other ways I'm going to show you before I show a few other things, but it's not hard to set up. Again, the biggest thing that really, really needs to be worked on is the timing. Another thing you could do with it too, this is the way that I would want to mess with as well, is again, you're trying to influence those safeties. You're trying to essentially clear out space in this area right here. All right, get the numbers more in your favor. So why not do it out of a 2x2 set? This way you can create a little bit of misdirection coming this way with the running back, as well as the counter coming back the other way. So what we could essentially do here is, again, our motion here. He's coming to the tackle as he's starting his motion. Then he's going to come back here for his counter. All right, and that's essentially that large jab set that you normally would be doing with the normal counter. Now, with F in the backfield, we could actually create a little bit of a crosser here. He can come through and chip that unblocked defensive end. He's got to be fast, though. It's got to be quick, so they're not bumping into each other, obviously. Again, blocking still stays the same here. Down blocks. We have a kick out block. We have our wrap right here. It's still the same. All right, so this is just another way to manipulate the defense, have misdirection going one way, and then coming back the other way with the run. All right, because this action by the running back could potentially influence these linebackers, the safety, to move slightly. We're not talking about moving them 5-10 yards at all. Just the slight 3-4 steps possibly to engage or trying to fill a gap opens up the space where they just vacated. Obviously, it's the same thing with a blitz and an RPO. Okay, but again, we're also kind of banking on these rolling safeties too, because a lot of times what teams do, if you run jet motion, this safety bounces down this way, he rolls back over here. So then we just create a little bit more of a void right here because we're moving him out, especially if we know that teams are going to do this. They roll their safeties like this to that motion. That motion looks like it's coming this way, so obviously naturally that's going to trigger this safety to bounce down, and then this one to bounce back out into the middle of the field. Then all of a sudden he's cutting back. We're just taking advantage of the space they just vacated. So that's another way to see the defense, okay, kind of play on what you know they may do and how they may react to certain motions. So this is another good way to do it too, with the action of the running back as well, going back the other way. What about power? Power, again, you could do the same thing here too as well. Blocking is obviously a little bit different, but it's the same idea, same concept. It's the same kind of motion you could do here. So we have H in his motion. Again, same rules apply. Okay, try and designate rules to these. It makes it easier for the players to understand what the rules are for certain motions and what landmark. All that stuff plays a part. Okay, so now he's going to come back for his power. So you got to draw it in here. Come back in for his power here, which is attack that B gap right there. Okay, so what is the blocking scheme here? Block it down. Block down right there. Double team, we can carry that here. Lock down here. Guard is pulling through. Engage that linebacker here. He's gonna reach here and try and just pour off that B gap right there. And now what we can do is have him come in here and either kick out that defensive end, kind of just maybe potentially wash him down, but kick him out, and then that running back is coming in behind it. Hopefully this defensive end gets up the field, and this running back can simply just come in here, kick him out that way. His path is going to take that way, kick out, and there's where the opening is. And obviously you just run your bubbles and whatnot outside if you want. But that is a nice little thing we can do as far as power. Works both ways. Haven't tried it with power yet, but definitely it's definitely in the works. But this is just a different way to approach counter. All right, it's a different way to approach counter. Counter's coming from a different player than the defense would normally expect, and you're playing off what you expect the defense to do based on what the motions you're going to show them. Okay, so again, it's like you hear a lot of other coaches talk about. It's an if-then scenario. If they do this, we do this. Okay, so if the safety bounce or roll there, towards or away from the motion, we know we can do this. All right, we know that they're going to vacate space here, whether we can hit the counter with it, we can hit the power, we can hit stick, or whatever it might be. Again, it's just playing off what the defense is going to do and how the defense is read. That's why I love motion so much. Have trips to the boundary here. We're actually going to run a GH counter. We have our H back here, but we are in an empty set. Have trips to the boundary here that we called here. So we call the empty to the boundary. The motion man is going to be this middleman. He's going to come around here. He's got a counter coming back the other way. Reason I kind of went trips to the boundary to run this is I knew that even still, they would still kind of set their defense as far as their strength and their safeties more towards the wide side of the field just to protect it. Because furthermore, we had been attacking the wide side of the field a lot all game, so I kind of knew this was going to happen. But then I also wanted to try and create a little bit of motion, a little bit of movement in the defense coming back towards the middle of the field to create that little opening here up the sideline, less advantage for the defense, I guess you would say, to try and move in and try and hit the counter before really got started. Now you will see that the running back or the player or the slot player wish he had better vision. If he saw the better vision, he probably would have ended up with a lot better of a game. But being that this is the first time I called this play, I was happy with the results. It's definitely going to be one of those plays that I have now officially added to the playbook. This is one that's going to be used quite a bit because, again, I'm a big proponent of running a small playbook with showing one or two plays that look like a bunch of different plays all together at once, just based on rules and whatnot. So we're going to get into it real quick here. And you can see we are lined up here and so now they essentially only have right now two players covering our three here. We motion him in. Not much movement. They do widen out over here in preparation for this motion. Comes back the other way. Shoots through the gap. Not a very good kick out block here. Shoots through the gap. Now he wants to cut it inside. If he cuts it back to the outside, as you can see, our receivers doing a good job downfield here, blocking the corner. And really, if he kind of cuts or shoots this back to the outside, it's really just a one man to beat. That safety may be able to get over to make a play, but at that point, he's already 15 yards downfield. Instead, he cuts it back late, gets about 6 yards on the play. It's not a bad play. I'm just going to run back, not me talking as much. But as you can see in the boundary here, they did not cover the trips very well. Again, they were trying to set their strength to the wide side of the field. Again, if he would have seen that hole shoot up a little bit earlier, that would have been a very, very nice play. And it's definitely, I've definitely kind of sold on it. So again, maybe I am late to the party, but I saw those clips and I thought, you know what, that's something that's very, very easy to implement. We've already used orbit motion. So therefore, why not put it in the playbook and see how it looks? There you go. That is counter, a new way of approaching counter. It's just a new, interesting way to show it with orbit motion again. I'm a huge proponent of motion, whether it's jet motion, orbit motion, shifts, trades, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. Try and use it and try and implement it in my offense. So hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it's something you got out of it, and I hope it's something that you can use. I'm definitely going to be using it more and more as we progress. It's definitely something that I've bought into now. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Share this video if you feel like this can help another coach out there. And I will see you in the next video.